We shouldn't say 1 hour later. We shouldn't say 1 hour later.
Bir saat sonra dememeliyiz.
Wouldn't he be the occasional scavenger? Not a scavenger from time to time?
Ara sıra çöpçü olmaz mı?
Would it bloom at noon? Does it bloom at noon?
Öğlen çiçek açar mı?
We couldn't come 2 days ago. We couldn't come 2 days ago.
2 gün önce gelemedik.
Our aunt was a botanist. Our aunt was a botanist.
Teyzemiz botanikçiydi.
Does he never question? Does he never question?
O asla sorgulamaz mı?
Can't he always move? Can't he always move?
Her zaman hareket edemez mi?
There hasn't been a dean for 5 weekends before. There has never been a dean for 5 weekends before.
Daha önce 5 hafta sonu dekan olmamıştı.
They may not be on guard after 3 hours. Unexpected things can happen after 3 hours.
3 saat sonra beklenmeyenler olabilir.
Can you give me a job? May give wrong job.
Yanlış iş verebilir.
I can be a businessman every week. I can be a businessman every week.
Her hafta iş adamı olabilirim.
Should you do a manicure? Should you do a manicure?
Manikür yapmalı mı?
Can it be diversified at noon? Can it be diversified at noon?
Öğle saatlerinde çeşitlenebilir mi?
Was my mother-in-law a blacksmith? My mother-in-law blacksmith circular?
Kayınvalidem demirci genelgesi.
Was my stepmother the dean? Is my stepmother the dean?
Üvey annem dekan mı?
Then it shouldn't be a watchdog. Later should not be expected.
Daha sonra beklenmemelidir.
Shouldn't I be fishing at all? Shouldn't I be fishing at all?
Hiç olta balıkçılığı yapmamalı mıyım?
Can't they go to the army after 3 weeks? Those who can't join the army after 3 weeks.
3 hafta sonra askere gidemeyenler mi?
Will I not be connecting? Will I not be connecting?
Bağlanmayacak mıyım?
Do we increase? Do we increase?
Artar mıyız?
At dawn, I was not an insurer. It wasn't my insurer at dawn.
Şafakta sigortacım değildi.
Your wife is an alchemist. Friend alchemist.
Arkadaş simyacı.
Have I read? Have I read?
Okundum mu?
Did you dream 2 nights ago? Did you dream 2 nights ago?
2 gece önce hayal ettin mi?
He must be the second man immediately. He must be the second man immediately.
Hemen ikinci adam olmalı.
His grandfather was a bounty hunter. His grandfather was a bounty hunter.
Büyük babası kelle avcısıydı.
Are your cousins psychiatrists? Cousins psychiatrist?
Kuzenlerin psikiyatristi mi?
It may take 2 weeks. It may take 2 weeks.
2 hafta devam edebilir.
You are the monthly accountant. You are your monthly accountant.
Aylıkçı muhasebesiniz.
Are their mother-in-laws beekeepers? Are their mother-in-laws beekeepers?
Kayınvalideleri arıcı mı?
He could always make beer. He could always make beer.
Her zaman bira yapabilirdi.
Wasn't he the operator at sunrise? Operator is not produced at sunrise.
Gün doğumunda operatör üretilmiyor mu?
We weren't journalists then. We weren't journalists then.
Biz o zaman gazeteci değildik.
Was our stepdad a mechanic? Our stepdad is the general manager of the mechanic.
Üvey babamız tamirci genel müdürlüğü.
Are we coroners now? Can we come with the coroner?
Adli tabip birlikte gelebilir miyiz?
Was his grandson a draper? Walk granddaughter draper?
Torunu manifaturacı yürümek.
After 5 evenings, he cannot object. After 5 evenings, he cannot object.
5 akşam sonra itiraz edemez.
Can't be washed every year? Can't be washed every year?
Her yıl yıkanamaz mı?
Her mother-in-law is a minister. Her mother-in-law is a minister.
Kayınvalidesi bakandır.
Can't you spare 2 weeks? Can't empty 2 weeks?
2 haftayı boşaltamıyor musunuz?
They were firefighters before. They were firefighters before.
Daha önce itfaiyeciydiler.
His stepdaughter is an industrialist. His stepdaughter is an industrialist.
Üvey kızı sanayicidir.
Are their cousins marketers? Are their cousins marketers?
Kuzenleri pazarlamacı mı?
Shouldn't he always be a filmmaker? Shouldn't there always be filmmakers?
Her zaman film yapımcılarının olması gerekmiyor mu?
Did you measure? Did you measure?
Ölçülü müydün?
Is her granddaughter a nurse? Granddaughter drawing?
Torunu çizim mi?
Didn't I reject the adder afterwards? Didn't I reject the adder afterwards?
Daha sonra toplayıcıyı reddetmedim mi?
One day later it would not match. He would not come a day later.
Bir gün sonra gelmeyecekti.
They didn't draw an hour ago. They didn't draw an hour ago.
1 saat önce çizerlik yapmadılar.
Is our stepson the bailiff? Is our stepson the bailiff?
Üvey oğlumuz mübaşir mi?
Can you appreciate? Can it be wrong?
Yanlış kabul edebilir mi?
Did our grandfather draw? Does your grandfather draw?
Dedemiz çizer mi?
Shouldn't there be a philosopher every week? Shouldn't there be a philosopher every week?
Her hafta filozof olması gerekmez mi?
Could you feed? Could you feed?
Besleyebildin mi?
You're always close. You're always close.
Her zaman yaklaştın.
Wouldn't he want it then? Wouldn't he want it then?
O zaman istemeyebilir mi?
There will be no monthly lieutenant. There will be no monthly lieutenant.
Aylık teğmen olmayacak.
They got it now. They are grown now.
Şimdi büyüdüler.
His father is a drummer. His father is a drummer.
Babası davulcudur.
Is he a 2-week-old shepherd? Is he a 2-week-old shepherd?
O 2 haftalık çoban mı?
His stepfather is a preacher. His stepfather is a preacher.
Üvey babası vaizdir.
Don't we need to provide? Don't we need to provide?
Sağlamamız gerekmiyor mu?
I shouldn't be a policewoman every year. Women shouldn't be a cop every year.
Her yıl kadın polis olmamalıdır.
You are not pulling. You are not pulling.
Sen çekmiyorsun.
Weren't they binding last year? Weren't they binding last year?
Geçen yıl bağlayıcı değiller mi?
You didn't answer at 5 o'clock the previous evening. You have no answers at 5 p.m. the previous evening.
Önceki akşam 5'te cevapların yok.
Was your stepbrother a photographer? To your half-sister?
Üvey kardeşinin yanına mı?
Shall we install it now? Shall we install it now?
Hemen mi kuracağız?
Should we be salespeople in the afternoon? After 5 lawyers, should we be salespeople?
5 avukattan sonra satış görevlisi olmalı mıyız?
Can you give permission? Can you give permission?
İzin verebilir mi?
Weren't they taxi drivers at noon? Aren't they taxi drivers at noon?
Öğle vakti taksici değiller mi?
Your brothers were librarians. Your bullet was the librarian.
Mermin kütüphaneciydi.
Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year? Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year?
Geçen sene hidrolog olmamıza gerek yok mu?
Wasn't he a lunchtime waiter? Holiday time waiter, right?
Tatil vakti garson değil mi?
Was his grandfather an acrobat? Is his grandfather an acrobat?
Dedesi akrobat mı?
I shouldn't be following the sunrise. I shouldn't be following the sunrise.
Güneş doğarken takip etmemeliyim.
Our parents are garbage collectors. Our parents are garbage collectors.
Ebeveynlerimiz çöp toplayıcıdır.
Am I growing? Am I growing?
Büyüyorum.
Their grandparents are brewers. Their grandparents are brewers.
Onların büyükanne ve büyükbabaları bira üreticisidir.
My nephew was a developer. My nephew was a developer.
Yeğenim geliştiriciydi.
Not immediately become a scientist. Should not immediately become a scientist.
Hemen bilim adamı olmamalıdır.
Did he not agree from time to time? Did he not agree from time to time?
Ara sıra razı olmadı mı?
Can we add? Should we use?
Kullanmalı mıyız?
Nighttime cannot thank you. Nighttime cannot thank you.
Gece vakti teşekkür edemez.
Can you block? Can it be wrong?
Yanlış engelleyebilir mi?
You were off next year. You should have let it go next year.
Gelecek yıl izin vermeliydin.
Do they fund later at 3 a.m.? Do they fund later at 3 a.m.?
Daha sonra sabah 3'ü finanse ederler mi?
Shouldn't affect soon. Close influence.
Yakın etkilemeli.
Don't we design daily? Shouldn't they be designing daily?
Günlük tasarım yapmamaları gerekir mi?
Do they rarely get points? Rarely get points?
Nadiren puan almak mı?
Is his uncle a stockbroker? Is his uncle a stockbroker?
Amcası borsacı mı?
Didn't they do a manicure at noon? Don't they have lunch?
Öğle yemeği yemezler mi?
Is it unsolvable? Is it unsolvable?
Çözülemez mi?
Can it help? Can it help?
Yardımcı olabilir mi?
Was our stepdaughter a coach? Could our stepdaughter be a coach?
Üvey kızımız koç olabilir mi?
They don't climb every year. They do not climb it for years.
Ona yıl tırmanmıyorlar.
His father is a baker. His father is a baker.
Babası fırıncıdır.
Do we have to destroy it now? Do we have to disappear now?
Şimdi yok olmamız gerekiyor mu?
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Fayda etmiyor.
Our daughter is a comedian. Our daughter is a comedian.
Kızımız komedyen.
Can you become a nurse every year? Can it be official every year?
Her yıl resmi olabilir mi?
My neighbor was a juggler. My neighbor was a juggler.
Komşum hokkabazdı.
After 2 nights, they can become businessmen. After 2 nights, they can become businessmen.
2 gece sonra iş adamı olabilirler.
May not take pictures occasionally. May not take pictures occasionally.
Ara sıra resim yapmayabilir.
3 afternoons. Can you make a developer? Can you make a developer after 3 generations?
3 nesil sonra geliştirici yapabilir misiniz?
Can I train 5 weeks ago? Can I train 5 weeks ago?
5 hafta önce eğitim verebilir miyim?
Electrician every year? Electrician every year?
Her yıl elektrikçi mi?
She is laughing. She is laughing.
O gülüyor.
Have you connected before? Have you connected before?
Daha önce bağlandı mı?
They should age after 1 day. They should age after 1 day.
Bir gün sonra yaşlanmaları gerekir.
Can you rest at dawn? Can you rest at dawn?
Şafak vakti dinlenebilir mi?
Can allow. Can allow.
İzin verebilir.
Has it improved every week? Does it improve every week?
Her hafta geliştirdiği mi?
Was my son an orthopedist? Is my son an orthopedist?
Oğlum ortopedist mi?
Could not weld every month. It was welding equipment every month.
Her ay kaynak donanımıydı.
Was I a carrier? I got on the ship.
Gemiye bindim.
His sisters were mediators. His sisters were mediators.
Kız kardeşleri arabulucuydu.
His nephew was the driver. His nephew was the driver.
Yeğeni şofördü.
Was her sister a scavenger? Was her sister a scavenger?
Ablası çöpçü müydü?
He would become a manager one day. He will become a manager one day.
Bir gün sonra yönetici olacak.
We should never return. We should never return.
Asla dönmemeliyiz.
Didn't she wait? Didn't she wait?
Beklemedi mi?
Can't he pull? Can't he pull?
Çekemez mi?
They didn't get it. They didn't get it.
Alamadılar.
We play next year. We play next year.
Seneye oynarız.
Is his daughter a forester? Is his daughter a forester?
Kızı ormancı mı?
Your relatives were barbers. Your relatives were barbers.
Akrabalarınız berberdi.
I was working 2 years later. I was working 2 years later.
2 yıl sonra çalışırdım.
We are never cream. We are never cream.
Biz asla krem değiliz.
I will retire an hour ago. I will retire an hour ago.
1 saat önce emekli olacağım.
Was our grandmother a window cleaner? Our grandmother's window cleaner protector?
Büyükannemiz pencere temizleyicisi koruyucusu.
Can you become a marketer the day before? Could he be a marketer the day before?
Bir gün önce pazarlamacı mı olabilir?
Does not remember. Does not remember.
Hatırlamıyor.
Can it renew? Can it renew?
Yenileyebilir mi?
Shouldn't I be a deputy? Shouldn't I be a deputy?
Milletvekili olmam gerekmez mi?
Is your friend an optician? Is your friend an optician?
Arkadaşın gözlükçü mü?
Wouldn't it be a clerk? Will it never be a clerk?
Tezgahtar asla olmaz mı?
Failed every year. Could not protect him for years.
Onu yıl koruyamadı.
Our grandson is the judge. Our grandson is the judge.
Torunumuz hakim.
Did you say noon? Did you say noon?
Öğlen mi dedin?
They won't be out soon. They don't come close.
Yakın çıkarmazlar.
Wouldn't he object? Doesn't he object?
İtiraz etmez mi?
Should I not focus for 2 weeks? Should I focus for 2 weeks?
2 hafta odaklanmalı mıyım?
Will he become a foreman in 3 months? Will he become a foreman in 3 months?
3 ay sonra ustabaşı olur mu?
10 years will not worry. Year will not worry.
Yıl endişelenmeyecek.
Does he listen? Do they listen?
Dinler mi?
You should always deliver results. You should always deliver results.
Her zaman sonuç vermelisin.
We will not analyze every year. Does not speak analysis every year.
Her yıl analizi konuşmaz.
Shouldn't they be given a job? Shouldn't they be hired?
İş vermeleri gerekmez mi?
Creates at dusk. Kills at dusk.
Alacakaranlıkta öldürür.
Does he walk? Does he walk?
O yürür mü?
Won't you be born in 15 days? Aren't you born in 5 days?
5 günde doğmaz mısın?
Our husband is the guide. Our husband is the guide.
Kocamız rehberdir.
Is her stepson a dermatologist? Is her stepson a dermatologist?
Üvey oğlu dermatolog mu?
Am I not a daily blogger? Am I not a daily blogger?
Günlük blog yazarı değil miyim?
Shouldn't bother. Shouldn't bother.
Uğraşmamalı.
Are his siblings interviewers? Are his siblings interviewers?
Kardeşleri görüşmeci mi?
We should be better. We should be better.
Daha iyi olmalıyız.
After 3 seconds, it should be the ranger. After 3 seconds, it should be the ranger.
3 saniye sonra korucu olmalı.
A century later he wouldn't like it. A century later he wouldn't like it.
Bir asır sonra sevmezdi.
Doesn't open in one afternoon. After 1 week it won't open.
Bir hafta sonra açılmıyor.
His half-brother is a blacksmith. His half-brother is a blacksmith.
Üvey kardeşi demircidir.
He wouldn't see it in 4 weeks. He wouldn't be able to see after 4 weeks.
4 hafta sonra göremeyecekti.
I won't be a producer in a month. In a month there will be no producers.
Bir ay sonra yapımcılar olmayacak.
You serve at night. You serve at night.
Gece hizmet veriyorsunuz.
Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Does it appear after 3 seconds?
3 saniye sonra mı görülüyor?
Can we get a coroner in 1 day? Can we get a coroner in 1 day?
Bir gün sonra adli tabip çıkar mıyız?
May not be a negotiator now. May not be a negotiator now.
Şimdi müzakereci olmayabilir.
Wasn't I a baker 5 centuries ago? Am I not a baker 5 centuries ago?
Ben 5 asır önce fırıncı değil mi?
My uncle is the manager. My uncle is the manager.
Amcam yönetici.
Cannot grow earlier. Cannot grow earlier.
Daha erken büyüyemez.
Can you usually be a cashier? Can you usually be a cashier?
Genellikle kasiyer olabilir misin?
They should not be visible at dusk. They should not be visible at dusk.
Alacakaranlıkta görünmemeliler.
I'm not continuing now. We do not continue now.
Şimdi devam etmiyoruz.
Is his half-brother a fielder? Is his half-brother a fielder?
Üvey kardeşi saha görevlisi mi?
Can learn. To wear.
Giymek.
We weren't suddenly economists before. We weren't suddenly economists before.
Daha önce bir anda ekonomist değildik.
Were his brothers pipe layers? Are his brothers the pipe-laying building?
Kardeşleri boru döşeyici bina mı?
Should not eat. Should not eat.
Yemek yememeli.
Am I not reflecting? Am I not reflecting?
Yansıtmıyor muyum?
Will take a step. Will take a step.
Bir adım atacak.
Our children were jewelers. He was a jeweler.
Kuyumcuydu.
Were their stepdads plumbers? Stepdads referrals to plumbers?
Üvey babaları tesisatçı yönlendirme.
Your half-brother's butler. Your half-brother's butler.
Üvey kardeşin uşak.
Shouldn't we lose right now? Shouldn't we lose now?
Hemen kaybetmemiz gerekmez mi?
Do we have to forget? Do we have to forget?
Unutmak zorunda mıyız?
Is it informed annually? Is it informed annually?
Yıllık olarak bilgilendirildi mi?
Will it finish? Will it finish?
Bitirecek mi?
Are we baristas next year? Are we baristas next year?
Seneye barista mıyız?
His cousins were civil engineers. His cousins were civil engineers.
Kuzenleri inşaat mühendisiydi.
Is her stepdad a gardener? Is her stepdad a gardener?
Üvey babası bahçıvan mı?
Are they burned? Are they burned?
Yanmışlar mı?
Were my cousins CEOs? Are my cousins CEOs?
Kuzenlerim CEO'ları mısınız?
Can do weekly pharmacy. Can practice weekly.
Haftalık alıştırmalık yapabilir.
Didn't he understand the previous morning? Didn't he understand the previous morning?
Önceki sabah ayı anlamadı mı?
Have we tested? Have we tested?
Test ettik mi?
Can't lift it occasionally? Can't lift it occasionally?
Ara sıra kaldıramaz mı?
Am I healed? Am I healed?
İyileştim mi?
His brother-in-law is an assistant. His brother-in-law is an assistant.
Kayınbiraderi asistandır.